you can ask anybody that works for me. I will constantly belittle you. I will constantly tell you you're terrible at your job. I almost look at it like a fraternity. Like it's like blood show.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna go through this. And you're either gonna survive or you're not gonna survive.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if you wanna quit. So here's the difference. I don't need you. You need me.
Hi, this is Rafe Kamar with Kamar Group at Compass. Welcome to our new vlog series called Breakfast of Champions. Each month, myself, Rafe, a team member, and one of the industry top leaders will be joining us for breakfast to discuss industry trends, tips, tricks, and a little bit about themselves. Hope you enjoy our show. We have a very special guest today. He's a Tesla owner, owns a lot of blue suits, loves to drink a lot of wine, wakes up at 5 a.m. every day. Matthew Laricy.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me. It's Matt Laricy.
Matt Laricy.
I wake up at 4:45, not 5. But we're close on most of them. And I did wear a blue suit today, which I'm very happy about. It's very rare you won't catch me in a blue suit.
So Matt, what gets you out of bed every morning?
I'm a self-motivated guy. I've never been the type that needs to listen to something to motivate me. The fact is that I know that if I won't get out of bed early, somebody else will. And that's what motivates me to, be the best, is to know that if I'm not willing to be the best, somebody else will be.
It's awesome. It's powerful. How do you keep that motivation going? I mean, I feel like you can do that for a week, you can do that for a month, but then just to do it for this many years and to be consistently be one of the top players in the game.
Yeah. I think it's ingrained with you when you're a kid, right? I've always been like this. Since I was little, I always thought it would be something, like big.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it would be. I did know I always wanted to get in real estate. I did know I always wanted to be the best at everything I did, but I knew that I wasn't like the smartest guy in the room, so I knew that the only thing that I could do better than anybody else would be to outwork them. And I've always had that like workhorse mentality.
Love it.
And maybe it's from my years when I was a kid. I had a really bad older brother. He was just like always like in trouble. And like he was just known in the schools and with everything that oh, we're gonna have another Laricy. So it was like, and I was always treated like shit because of that.
Jeez.
So I felt like I always had to prove myself to show like who I am and what I had to do, and to be like, my whole life everybody told me I would never be anything because of him.
Yeah.
And not that I have animosity towards him or anything like that, but it's just like, I just remember that my whole life, and I always remember that I had to really, really work hard to prove to people that I would be something, even though everybody would always tell me I wouldn't.
Are you still pretty close with your brother?
Yeah, I mean, we talk, yeah.
Is he a real estate agent also?
He is. He used to work for me. I fired him a while ago.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's not a motivated kid. I mean, like he's a 34 on his ACT type of guy, like super smart. I got a 20 on my ACT, okay? So like the difference is, he'd roll out of bed and ace a test, and I'm the type of guy, and he's like 4 years older than me. I'm the type of guy that, like I'd have to study my ass off and I'm, be lucky to get like a C.
Yeah.
He'll sleep 18 hours a day, and his goal in life is to, probably get welfare. And he doesn't care. Like that's who he is. He's proud of it. He owns it. Like he does not want to work. Okay. He would love money to fall from the sky and just work off of it. So I mean, we're close. We talk all the time, every day.
Yeah.
But we're just totally different mentalities.
So speaking of like goals and vision, tell me about the 2-year plan.
Yeah.
Right. You're gonna break 200 million this year, which is phenomenal. It's like the most amount of volume you're gonna do in the middle of pandemic, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
This will be our best year ever. Yeah.
So 2-year plan, and then what's a 10-year plan in your world?
Yeah.
What does it look like?
I mean, so short term, 2 years, we want to be number one in Chicago. 10-year plan, I have no idea. I actually think the plan phase is like a really bad idea. A lot of coaches talk about this. Like I don't have a coach. I don't believe in coaches.
You've never had a coach in your life?
No, I don't need somebody else to tell me like get out of bed in the morning. Like I'll get myself out of bed. I'm like, why am I going to pay you money to motivate me when I'm already motivated than you, and you're not even successful? I know that sounds terrible. I know I'm not popular when I say that because everybody uses coaches.
Yeah.
I personally, that's why they make red cars, blue cars, black cars. Everybody's got their own opinion, right? Me, I think it's bad. But I will tell you that 3 years from now, my mentality can change, right?
Yeah.
And what I thought was a 10-year plan, now I've achieved by in 3 years, and now like I've failed, right? Like I know that I want to be the best at whatever I do. Right now I'm currently in real estate in Chicago. Do I want to expand to different cities? Do I want to, become the biggest real estate company rather than be the best real estate broker? Sure. I don't know. Like I can't sit there and tell you where I want to go, and this is why I discourage people from having like 10-year plans, because like your life changes when you have children. Your life changes when you get married. Your life changes when your parents die. You know, like if you've never buried your brother or your father or anything, and not that I've buried any of them people, but I'm saying like mentally things change. Now what happens then if you had a 10-year plan? That's going to interrupt it. And now you may feel like a failure because of it. Some people can never get up because of that.
That's right.
You know? So like the way I always think is like, I know I want to be the best. I know that every day I'm going to wake up and try to be a better version than I was the day before. And I take it day by day. I know that like, okay, this year's goal was 220 million. Not going to get there, but next year's goal is going to be 250 million.
Yeah.
You know,
pushing yourself.
So I keep pushing myself to go harder and farther. And where that's going to be 10 years from now, it's too hard to tell.
So how does it feel to be the number 2 guy who's just, again, and I think you can be number 1. I mean, we're very close to it, right? I think the top guy's 225, 230 million.
Jeff Lowe, shout out to him. I think he's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love him to death. I think I'm a big fan of his. You know, I mean, he's going to crush us like a bug this year. He'll probably finish at 250. We're going to finish like 202. That's a big difference. I feel like a failure because we're not number 1. Like,
really?
I don't feel like good about being number 2. I actually feel like it's a loss. Like, I'm not proud of it. I'm ashamed because all I think about this year is how many deals we lost. Right? I could tell you the dates where I was standing that moment on all the deals I lost. I probably lost at least $30 million of business this year. You know, when you do 200 million, you're going to lose that type of business, right? So like, you know, people talk about, I might lose a deal a month, right? We lose a deal almost every day of the week. So all I think about is the failures. So to me, that's what pushes me too, is that like the fact that like I don't have animosity towards the guys that are above us. I mean, I'm not just saying Jeff or whoever. Like, I push myself because I want to be the best to me. So like, I'm my own biggest enemy because I want to beat who I was. I'm not saying like I like have like, oh, I hate Jeff because he beats us. I don't give a shit about like him in an aspect of saying that like that's who we're chasing. We're chasing just a number to beat ourselves every year. So
being number 2, you're still not in content with that. I mean,
no, 0%.
It's pretty powerful to kind of have a mindset like that you're your own biggest enemy.
Yeah.
And you're like constantly pushing yourself. Each day you have to be better than the day before.
Right. Yeah.
Someone who's one of the top brokers in the state of Illinois, if not the entire nation, I mean, how do you keep yourself organized? You must be getting like 100 calls right now, text messages, emails. How is it that in 24 hours you're able to get sleep, you're able to manage, coach your team members, and then still keep your clients happy? I
think it's about how you map out your day, right? Like every day you have to know that inside each hour you're going to do X, Y, Z, right? So I see that you have Evernote up, right? So we use Evernote a lot. We use Google Docs a lot. I think the biggest problem for like agents is they're like, I'm gonna have an assistant, they're gonna do lock boxes for me, like small showings and stuff like that. That's not an administrative assistant. Is admin. They're not task oriented. They should sit in the office all day and they should love checklists. This is where I differ with most brokers. Real estate agents, I should say. Most real estate agents want to get a junior agent who's gonna be an admin, do some stuff, build them up to be salespeople, then they're gonna start making money. That's not how this should work. We're running a business, right? Do you think, the CEO of Pepsi has an assistant who's someday going to take over the CEO? No, it's not going to happen. Do you think the biggest law firm in the world has a paralegal who's going to sit there and eventually become partner and do that? I'm not saying there's anything against them. I think the admin roles, ours make a lot of money, and they're, to me, a backbone of our business. But their job is to help keep us organized, right? So every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's a must-do list, right? Every Monday you do this, every Tuesday you do this, every Wednesday you do this, right? Then there's the small tasks you have to do on those days, and then you have to attack everything else that comes in, okay? If you do it that way, you'll be able to run a very easily expandable business, right? I can add another person in with the way we've built our systems and easily grow another 100% without just toppling over, And I think that's the problem that people have, and you have to find the right talent to help you keep it organized.
Couldn't agree more. So give us a little glimpse of what a typical day looks like for you as a team lead, as CEO of your company, and then as an administrative assistant who is kind of plugged in for helping you out. Now, is that person also helping your team members, or are they just only sort of assigned to you?
So we have 2 admins. I call them executive assistants. I think they're super, talented and great at their jobs. Every day I wake up, roughly 4:45, even on Saturdays and Sundays.
How many hours of sleep? There's a legend out there. I don't know if it's a myth or not, but apparently the word is you sleep, I think, 3 hours.
No, I sleep 4 hours. It's usually 12 to 12:45 at night when I go to bed, and I wake up at 4:45.
That's crazy. Okay.
I don't really require sleep. I look at it like Arnold Schwarzenegger once said in one of his speeches, sleep faster. And that's kind of how I think in my head. I've just never felt like I needed that 8 hours, I feel like I'd be wasting time. In fact, like once in a blue moon, I'll sleep like 6 hours, and you do not want to be around me those days because I'm like super annoyed because I'm like, I wasted 2 hours of my life. But when I get up, the first thing I do is I go to the gym, I clear my mind, right?
Sure.
You know, I should be like ripped the way, as much as I work out, but like this is as good as it gets. That's what I always tell people, like that's a sad thing. Like this is, as hard as I work out and how much I watch what I eat, I mean, that's pretty embarrassing. But I work out, clear my mind.
Sure.
You know, I do, about 45 minutes of weights, half hour of running. The half hour just clears my mind. I literally roadmap my day out while I run. Like I don't even know like 30 minutes goes by because I'm just mentally planning my day. You know, obviously you do your shower and stuff like that, and then I just attack the day. You know, so like, you know, the day, I always, you know, start my, the next day, the day before, so I clean out my inbox. I make sure I know exactly where I'm going to be. I look at the calendar, you know, we use Google Calendar, see where everybody's going to be, and know like what I have to do from there. And then I try to be as proactive rather than reactive as possible.
Love it.
You know, it's hard to say. Every day is different. You know, it is in real estate. You know, I try to get home every night around, you know, like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. I always go to Whole Foods when I'm done. I pick up dinner. I cook dinner for my wife. I try to, you know, get home in time to like put my kid to bed if possible. Feed my wife. She goes to bed, and then I sit on the couch and work till I can't keep my eyes open.
That is a lot of work, man. That is just exhausting listening to that right now.
Yeah.
I don't think any one of our team members do that. I'm lucky if like someone puts in 3 hours. Cut that part. Tell me, on your way to 100 million, like the first time you broke 100 million, huge deal, right? What was some of the key tweaks, very essential, that you're like, hey man, I could not have done that without these tweaks?
I went from 5 million to 10 million to 18 million to 39 million to 69 million to 105 to 125 to 136 to 169 to 185 to now 2 something.
Wow, so you've just always progressed.
The biggest struggle we had was when we went from like 39 to like the 69 or whatever that was. Okay. That was the biggest struggle because that's when you started getting like really, really, really busy. Yeah. And I would be like a broker I see like 8 years ago. You know, to me is the way I think about it, even though it wasn't 8 years ago, but in my head, is like the fact that like they're cocky, they want to be everybody, right? They want to be say like I did this, this is how I do it, and I felt like I always compared myself to like a piece of bread, and the butter was spread so thin across that bread, right? Because I'm trying to do so much. I remember I probably had panic attacks. I probably had heart attacks I didn't even know about, like so many times that year that I couldn't breathe. Yeah. And it was just like letting go. That's what I felt like. I had to be a part of every deal. I had to be a part of all the scheduling. I had to be I would schedule all my own appointments, do every single transaction, be almost at every single property tour, inspection, follow up with everything, up until 69 million. So when people tell me they want to do a team, I'm like, do you have fucking any idea? Like I started a team right after we did 39 million. Before I had a team, I had no admin. So I set up all that shit on my own with no backing. And I used to brag about that. Now I look back, I'm like, that's so stupid. Like, I could have probably split myself into two, well, not that you could technically, and we probably could have done like 60 million that year, right? Yeah. So you have to figure out, you have to fail to move forward. Sure. So that 39 to 69 is when I learned a lot of mistakes I made, and I improved on them. And then from that, to get from that year we did, when we did 69 to get to 105 or 106, whatever it was, that we broke the 100, was super easy. Like after I learned a lot, and I took it in. I took constructive criticism. I still take constructive criticism. In fact, tomorrow I have a team meeting on Wednesday. I want you to read what this says, just so you can see I'm not bullshitting. You've never seen this before. What does my meeting say about?
Meeting about how to sell so we don't suck and lose anymore. We are terrible and should be ashamed of ourselves.
That's my team meeting tomorrow.
That's powerful.
Because I think we could sell more listings next year. I feel like, you know, there was a big listing that we lost and somebody sold. And I was so mad last night. I'm like, this is what our calendar invite's gonna be for our Wednesday meeting because we can always be better. I remember a moment. It was actually like almost this exact date, probably 9 years ago. And I was sitting at the Festival of Lights with my father-in-law's place. Well, my father-in-law is president of the school board. There's this president thing that you're sitting there at, and there's an event. And I looked at him and I said, man, there's this girl, Jenny Ames. She'd do 120 million this year. I couldn't even fathom it. Like I would love to someday be able to do something like that. Yeah. He's like, you'll do it. Like it's not a big deal. I'm like, there's no way. I can never do that. Wow. You know? And like here we are now. Like now 120 million to me. I'm like, man, we'll do that in 6 months.
That is insane.
You know?
That's
so
absurd.
Like it's just, you know, your mentality changes, and as you get more successful, you learn more how to do it. And the biggest problem that brokers have of why they have challenges is because a lot of them work, then they get successful, and then they say, you know what, I'm going to take my foot off the gas, hire, let them take over, and then the pitfalls happen.
Tell me, out of this 200 million you're going to sell, how much of that is personal? How much is Matt Laricy going out there and selling on a daily basis?
So we have it broken down on the board. Right now, we're at technically closed like 183 million. Of that 183, I'm at like 155 of it. So, that's almost all of it. Not saying my agents are great. I would say that most of them aren't phenomenal at bringing in the business, but they help me work the business,
Sure.
and they get compensated. And over time, their business will scale upwards.
Sure.
Like a lot of the guys that work for me have only been doing it for 2 to 4 years. My first year in the business, do you know how many deals I closed?
I've done some research. Was it 1 or
0?
0, yeah.
My second year in the business, I did 1. So that's 2 years I've done 1 deal. My third year in the business, I did 4 deals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my fourth year in the business, I think I did like 6.
Okay.
So I remember, I tell this all the time, my first 4 years in the business, I made a total of like $50,000
Yeah.
between the first 4 years.
Yeah.
So now people are bragging about now people do 4 million, I'm gonna get a fucking team. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're a loser.
Yeah.
I would be ashamed of myself if I said that. You didn't know what busy is.
Sure.
4 million is like a bad day. That's why I look at it now. And you're gonna tell me you're gonna get a team around you because you don't want to work. The average person's lazy.
How many times do you think of giving up in those 4 years?
In the first 4 years, every day. So every day of the week. I was living at home. I just graduated college. I graduated college in December of 06. I was already licensed. The next day, my dad wouldn't let me work at the company. So I had to go work at Century 21 Pro Team.
Your dad wouldn't let you work at his own company?
Correct. He's like, go figure out if you're actually going to be anything at this.
So maybe that's where you get the genes from and the mentality from.
Yeah. The guy that opened the Century 21 Pro Team, the guy that opened it, he had 9 offices.
Yeah.
He used to be a client of my father's. So everything he knew came from my dad.
No kidding.
And I think there's some animosity there because it was the only person in the office that didn't have a desk. So I'd always walk in, it'd be like this, I'd be like, oh, can I sit here? And they'd be like, I guess you could sit there. And everybody's like 50 some odd years old. I thought I was going to get my license, and just like every other broker, I was just people were just going to be like, hey dude, got a license, let's call. Yeah. It's not like any of my friends grew up rich. We grew up on the south side. It's like nobody has any money. Half my friends still live at home. And I'd go downtown because I'm single, heartbroken, and I'm trying to meet chicks, right, girls?
Sure.
You're 22, and I'd be like, hey, how you doing? They're like, oh my God, what do you do? Everybody wants to know what you do. All my friends are fucking loaded, right?
Yeah.
They're starting to become successful.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I live at home with my parents. I'm getting into real estate, and people are like, what the fuck? And I'd be like, hey, I can't pay for this drink. Yeah. Can I get like $15 for this vodka Diet Coke, right? And it became embarrassing. Every couple of weekends, I'd come down and sleep on a buddy's couch.
Yeah.
And I just remember that man, I'm seeing all this money, all this success from everybody else, and here I am failing at this job miserably. Yeah. And I used to have a clipboard, which I still carry around in my briefcase today, that my mom gave me.
Your mom gave you, yeah.
And I'd throw it away, every day. I'd come home and be like, I'm fucking done with this. It's terrible. This job sucks. I'd wake up, because again, I'm living at home, and my mom have it on the counter, with a note, don't give up. When it hits, or something like that.
Right.
And I just kept pushing myself forward. And I will tell you, I remember going on a couple job interviews by my second or third year in the business, being like, maybe this wasn't meant for me. Because in my mind, my whole life, I thought I was going to succeed at this. Yeah. And around 08, when the bubble burst, and I'm like, now this is total shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe I wasn't cut out for this. And I never got, I interviewed at 2 different jobs, and I didn't get them, which is great, because who knows where my life would be if I ever did get them, And once my mom died in 2010, I'll never forget that. Everybody says they have a tipping point, something that changes in their life. And we were at a family wedding, and my mom was dancing all night and blah, blah, blah. And the electric went out at the hotel, so there's no air conditioning. It's 100 and some odd degrees. And she's like, we're gonna get a cab ride home. You and Nicole, who's now my wife, at the time we were dating, can take our hotel room. So now my brother, his girlfriend, me, and my girlfriend at the time are splitting this hotel room, right? Great, I don't have any money, so we got our first hotel. And we get a call at 4:30 in the morning that my mom died. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about, Dad? I saw her 4 hours ago. He's like, Mom died. I'm like, what the fuck? So we're driving home, and as we're coming around the corner, I saw 30 squad cars in front of my house. And I remember just like that, my whole life flashed before my eyes, everything did. And I, something inside of me clicked. It's like a machine where it just clicks in, and then it's now we know. It's that's what happened to me. And all of a sudden, real estate became crystal clear. And I knew exactly where to go, how to build the business, and everything I was reading and studying just clicked at once. And then ever since then, that year in 2010, I did 5.4 million. That was my best year ever. and I've doubled or gone way up, in growth ever since that year.
Would you say that a lot of your success is dedicated to your mom then?
I would say so, yeah, absolutely.
And there's a purpose and a drive behind it then.
Well, I mean, there's always compasses and other companies in the past, nobody lately, but who has said that, like, we'll buy you or you could come work for us.
Remax Next.
Remax Next is one of them.
Right.
But, there's always companies out there that are trying. And I just remember that, my mom always said, like, the family business is just something great to be a part of. And that's why we've stuck with it. And, there's nobody that's ever heard of AmeriCorp. And, a thing that drives me a lot of times is when we do have like these punk Compass agencies or app properties agents that are brand new in the business.
I like how you pointed at me.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying in general, where they'd be like, oh, you're with, we'll go on this appointment, like, oh, you're with AmeriCorp, never heard of you, buddy. Be like, I'm with AT, and we sell the most in the business. And you think that doesn't happen?
Yeah.
It happens all the time. And I'll be nice to them. I'm like, yeah, you guys are really good. Yeah. You're a phenomenal agent. They'll look at me and be like, I'm sorry, whom are you with? And I'm like, I'm sorry, did you get a fucking English accent out of nowhere? I'm like, I did more sales than you did this entire year before I took a piss this morning. They're like, oh, that Matt guy's a jagoff. I'm like, no, I let you degrade me twice in front of my client and put my fucking family's company down. And I took it like a man, and the third time you did it, I slit your fucking throat, okay? And I made you feel like an asshole. So it's always, I always say, it's always like the guy that punches afterwards and the ref finally sees it. That's how I feel sometimes with this stuff. But like, I mean, this business sometimes can drive you crazy with people like that.
I think it's jealousy. I think it's just like vindictive, or it's just they envy you. I think a lot of people look up to you, but they just don't know how to process it and how to kind of convey it.
Here's a great thing a lot of brokers do, and we do it to other brokers too. I'll show it with somebody I really well respect. They're bringing a buyer to us, and I was like, hey, just so you know, to the buyer, they're one of the best in the business.
Yeah.
That's how you fucking do it. Yeah. That's how you show it, And like now, not only am I making that other agent look good to their client, but I'm also showing to that agent like how much I respect them, right? Yeah. That's the way you do it. You don't go about trying to like put somebody down. I mean,
totally.
the top 100 agents in this industry are going to be the ones that are going to like pretty much run it and change how this industry goes, and everybody else is just there. That's just the reality. And if you want to try to be one of those top 100 agents, you should just at least respect the other people. Like I get it. I get in fights with agents all the time. I'm not going to deny it. I mean, it happens, right? We have shitty days and you lose your temper. But whenever I do lose my temper or do something bad, I always call up and apologize. Yeah. I mean, I'll fail all the time. I'll say stupid shit, but I always say that I was wrong and I apologize to it. So,
in a typical day, how many hours are you calling? I know you have a huge budget. I know you've got tons of leads coming in.
I don't do any call blocks.
You don't do any call blocks?
Negative hours. Yeah, I don't want to call anybody. So I hate calling people.
Okay.
I'll tell you, I know the way I treat people when they call me out of the blue. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, nobody wants me called. I hate texting too. I hate texting. I'll email people all the time. So like every day, I follow up with my leads for about an hour to an hour.
Hundreds of them, right? I mean, you got hundreds of leads coming in. People from.
I'm not gonna say I have hundreds of leads coming a day. Like one of these assholes are just full of shit. Like we get a really solid handful of leads a day.
Got it.
Half of them are terrible, shit, fucking no leads. A quarter of them are solid that if you follow up with, and another quarter are like long term.
Awesome.
So I follow up with all my leads every single day, and I try to do that first thing in the morning. So like that's the first thing I do when I get to the office is I follow up with my leads.
Okay. But so you don't call. There's no call block set up.
I mean, unless it's like a fresh Zillow lead, I'll call. But otherwise, I try not to. I don't call my clients.
So those direct Zillow calls coming in.
That's when you got to call them.
Got it.
But Zillow's changing, which we'll see. I can't talk about it now, but you'll see.
All right. It's time for our rapid fire round now. We're going to ask you 10 questions.
Okay.
You're going to have 5 seconds to think about them.
Okay.
And just go with your gut.
Okay.
So, how do you start your day?
Every day I start off the exact same, and I just take a protein shake, an energy drink, and I go one of those energy powders, and I go to the gym. That's it.
Awesome. One thing on your bucket list?
Buy a winery in Napa.
All right. What's the best thing that's happened to you this month?
This month? It's going to be Thanksgiving. That'll be the best thing that happened to me. It's my favorite holiday.
We've heard a lot about your White Castle.
White Castle stuffing, guys. Watch my YouTube videos. You'll see it. It's the greatest thing in the world. Be the star at your holiday this year and make it.
I love it. When are you most inspired?
When I lose.
Wow. That's a good answer.
I hate losing. It drives me nuts.
There's a question you asked. Do you hate to lose or do you like to win or something?
Yeah, I believe I should always win. That's why I look at my life. And the reason I say that, I know it sounds like an asshole, but because I push myself so hard that like there should be no reason, but when we lose, it drives me up the wall. It's not that I'm mad that you won.
Yeah.
I'm mad that like I look at myself that I failed.
Wow. You're your biggest critic then. That's crazy. What's the best compliment you've ever received, ever?
I don't think I have any. I don't process compliments. I get really awkward if you tell me something that you like about me. Like, I don't like it.
So no one said, hey, nice tie or nice pocket square,
I mean, maybe.
cool suit, nice car.
I don't like compliments. Like, I feel I'm very awkward around getting compliments. Just so you know, like it's so like weird to like get to process that I'm like, what? Why are you saying that? Like, I almost feel like you're being like coming at me. Like, what do you fucking mean, nice tie? What the fuck's that supposed to mean? You don't like this thing? That's kind of that's how immediately I think. My wife's always like, don't you understand like the way your brain, how fucked up it is? I'm like, it's something good at least, you know.
I love it. Favorite book?
The Richest Man in Babylon.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, and for every agent out there that is watching this, I think it's probably the most powerful book you could read because it teaches you that every check you get, because most agents are always about let's get the nicest car, let's get this, let's get that, like spend.
Yeah.
It's all about saving. Save 20% of every paycheck that you get. I still to this day save like. You know, in my office, unfortunately, we get paid every 2 weeks. So that's what people are going to be mad about. But I take 20 to 25% of every check I ever get and put it in their savings account immediately.
What is that good for? Is that just real estate, tangible assets,
No,
the stock market? Is it just rainy day?
That's like my investment account for my life.
Love it.
So when this whole shit hit the fan and all these companies are firing half their staff and people are panicking, I'm like, so what? I plan for this, right? You can't always have an all-time high. And what people need to realize, and what something like I took away from something like The Richest Man in Babylon, is that like the reality is that life sucks, and there's gonna be some really, really bad years, not just year, but years in general. And that's why in 2008, you know, when the real estate market got, you know, tanked and all these people lost everything, it's because nobody saved. You gotta save.
Your favorite movie?
Pumping Iron.
All right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is probably my biggest.
You referenced him 3 times already.
Yeah. It's probably because I just made my whole team watch like 3 inspirational videos of his, like in the last week. And like everybody in my team is so annoyed, like shut the fuck up with Arnold things. I love stories where somebody came from like literally negative, right? Like nothing that should never amount to anything in the world and became like one of the greatest things ever.
All odds against you.
I read all these books about people like that. You know, like I've always been attracted to like, you know, Napoleon and Hannibal and like all these people from back in the day that like rose above all odds. Like I'm obsessed with that type of stuff.
What is something you cannot do?
I mean, I can't do like 99% of things. I mean, I can't read science books. My brain doesn't process them. I'm not good at basketball. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I can't do.
How do you manage stress?
I yell at people, take it out on everybody else around me.
I think I got yelled at by you too.
Most likely happened.
What is your kryptonite?
Vodka? I mean, listen, just like everybody, we're younger, right? I mean, fuck, I'm 36 now, but I mean, I would say that like, one thing that I avoid is putting myself in situations where I'm going out now around people because I don't want to be around like a bunch of drinking.
Yeah. Because
I know that I don't have the self-control to not see a friend that I haven't seen in 10 years, where we're not going to have a great night and stay out till like midnight, which I know sounds like you're human, you should do that, but to me, it throws me off my routine. Because now if I'm with you till midnight, I'm waking up at 4:45, I'm tired, I'm groggy, I'm not me. And then like, think about that. If you did that twice a month, right?
Yeah.
And you did that, you know, that's twice a month, there's 12 months a year, that's 24 days that you didn't try to be like the best you could be. Think about how much business you left on the table.
Man,
that's the way I think about it.
Everything.
Everything. That's why I don't do client dinners. So I don't go out to dinner with people. Yeah. That's why I don't do, you know, like go and see friends and stuff like that, because I don't want to be put in a situation where like we have to get like hammered and do this stuff, because I know the next day I'm not going to be the best version of myself. So I'm like, are you worth that to me? I've never been on a bachelor party, ever. I've never gone to a bachelor party, no matter how good my friends are. We had a fantasy football draft this year. I do it once a year. That's one of the only times, and I still wake up in my time, but don't be around me that day. But I say to them, they're all yelling at me. They're like, you know, you didn't come to my bachelor party and do this.
Yeah.
And these are best friends of mine. Like, and I didn't go to the weddings, because if they was out of state, I'm not going to go. I'm like, I take 18 days off a year. Like, I love you, I think you're a great guy, but you're not worth my 3 days off to go to your wedding.
Man,
like those 3 days, I don't see my wife at night. So like, why wouldn't I take those 3 days and have an intimate vacation with my wife? I know that's like really analytical to a fast question, but just to show you like how my brain works.
A couple more. So what is one important life lesson someone needs to learn or hear from you? Like if you could go back and tell yourself something.
So I think understand the business. Like to me, I think the best thing that's ever happened to me was that like I didn't have that instant gratification. Like now, I think real estate agents that got in the business since 2016 are the worst agents in the business, because none of them actually understand what it's like to fail. Like I think the agents who came in the business in 2008 that came from the bottom and didn't know the business, they had to learn the business because there was nothing else to do. You know, if you got in the business in 16 or 17, you could like walk out the door and be like, hey, I'm gonna buy like 3 places. Like, oh great, you know, there's a bunch of sales. But like the thing you need to do is educate yourself first. If you know everything and you're the smartest guy in the room about the business, you will naturally succeed. It's like when, we're in COVID, right? One of the biggest lessons that I learned this year was how important I was, right? Just not me personally, but agents. All day, everybody was like talking about how they were like, oh, working from home, everything's slow. I was in my office every day in a suit and tie. I still wear a fucking suit and tie every day, even though I wasn't gonna see anybody, because I wanted to feel like I was working, right? So I went to the office, suit and tie, and my phone was nonstop calling me, asking me, Matt, what do I think's gonna happen? Where's my property values gonna go? What's gonna happen in the future with this? And I'm just talking. And what I learned was that people wanted to know, because there were such uncertain times, they wanted to go to an expert. And you could be that expert. I don't want to be the guy to be like, hey, did you hear John had a baby and then we talk about your baby? I want to be the guy you talk to about the business, and I'm the best of the business, but I want to be friends with you. I don't mean that in a rude way. I'm a business owner.
If you were not a real estate agent, what would you be?
I would figure out a way to get into real estate and be a real estate agent. That's what I would do.
Last question. You've made it. You've done such incredible things. You're number 2 guy. You're probably going to be number 1. Everyone has their money on you. How come I've never been on your show?
Which show? Our podcast?
Yeah, your
we've pivoted away from guests on our podcast.
That concludes our rapid fire round. Jana, yes, come on in.
Talk to me about letting people go. So I know you've had to do it, like
letting agents go?
Yeah, letting agents go. Like, at what point are you like, you gotta go, and then how do you do it?
I mean, I fired a girl one time on Christmas Eve. I didn't even know it was Christmas Eve, to be honest.
Just waited for it too.
No, it was just like I knew this person wasn't going to work out. You know in your gut, like when you hire somebody, you kind of know if they're not going to be a good fit, right? And then I give it a test, and then I fire you right away. Like I have no shame. Like I tell them, so like you can ask anybody that works for me. I will constantly belittle you. I will constantly tell you you're terrible at your job. I will constantly tell you that I think you suck. And I do that to build, it's like, I almost look at it like a fraternity. Like
Tough
it's like
love.
bloodship.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna go through this. And you're either gonna survive or you're not gonna survive.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if you wanna quit. Like that's the difference between everybody else. Everybody wants to hire. They want to be like, I have 50 people that work for me. I don't want 50 people. I want 5 of the best people. And if you're not gonna be the best, if you're not gonna push yourself, then you're gonna get fired. We count the days off, okay? So if you take, just for everybody to know, a weekday, Monday to Friday, if you take off before 6:30 at night, that's a full day off, okay? And we put that on the board, so we publicly shame you. If you take off before 4 p.m. on Saturday or Sunday, that's a full day off. Your days off are a direct reflection of how much business you're gonna do this year. If you take off too many days, automatically fired, So like, I don't give a shit. And if you're like, well, I could go to Compass and I'll get a 90% split, then go. So here's the difference. I don't need you. You need me. I will teach you the business. I will teach you to be the best. I will push you harder than you've ever been pushed in your entire life. And if you want to be the best at your job and be successful, then you can work with me. But if you don't want to be it, then get the fuck out. Don't let the door hit in your ass.
Last question. We've talked about you having nervous breakdown multiple times. Can we see what your calendar looks like?
I mean, this is today. I would say that this is not busy. This is a slow day. So this is
and it has no space, so you don't even have space for lunch. I mean,
no, I don't do lunches. I do like I pack a sandwich, and that's it. I'll eat that as I drive to the appointment.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks, man.
For now,
thank you. Yeah, great to meet you as well. Thanks, man.
Well, there you have it. Hope you all enjoyed today's vlog. What an incredible honor to have someone like Matt Laricy on our first vlog series. Just a true Chicago legend, one of the best in the business, someone who's built it all by himself and now is the number 2 guy on his way to be number 1. I hope you all enjoyed this, got tons of tips and trade secrets. This is your host, Rafael Kamar with Kamar Group, signing off. We'll see you next month.